Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of the Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on United Public Radio Network 105.3 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee, who we would not be here without. So thank you, Folgers. We love you, we appreciate you, and we look forward to a long-lasting adventure with you, because it truly is an adventure. Also, huge thank you to Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, aka Justin Snicker, who is an award-winning composer of Halloween horror, sci-fi, dark wave electronic music, which can be found just about anywhere that streams good music. And he is responsible for our intro and outro. So thank you, thank you. Tonight, we welcome for the very first time Dr. Scott Taylor, who is an experiencer of, get this, guys, a shared near-death experience. And what a heartfelt story. You guys are not going to want to miss this segment. It's very unusual. It's wild. It really is. So in order to participate, you guys know the drill. We are on one of 8 platforms. So if we're starting with YouTube, we've got UFO Paranormal. We've got International Public Radio. We jump over to Facebook. We've got News on the Flip Side, UFO Paranormal. We've got Joe Montaldo, UFO Undercover. We've got The Outer Realm, of course. And we've got Canada's Most Haunted - moi. So that pretty much sums it up right there. And we've got Janie and Wayne in the chat room. So yeah, it's coming on, right on. Excellent. Oh, hey, Tamara. Excellent, excellent. So, Wee Bubbly, how's it going?
Good. Now that we've started the show, I can take this out of my hair.
Oh.
It reads like a giant Band-Aid on camera. This is for St. Patrick's Day. I will clip it to my shirt. It's killing me, but just so everybody can see it, and I have to pay respects to St. Patty's Day because St. Patrick was Italian.
There we go.
So anyways,
he was Italian. Yes, he was.
Right there. We'll see how that does. But anyways, maybe not.
Was.
Yes, he was. Yeah, maybe not.
No. St. Patrick's Day is. So
I did my best. That's all I'm saying.
No green beer here. We've got maybe green coffee.
There we go.
So
yeah,
but we do have like a really terrific guest coming on in like 2 minutes. I'm going to be sending him this thing.
Yeah,
his link. So.
I don't wear green, so sorry. I don't wear green. I don't own green. It's all over my house. Don't get me
kind
wrong.
of the same. Yes, kind of the
clover.
same.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, and I should have picked the green one instead, but yeah.
It's all good. It's all good.
My intent and my love is there for all the Irish people.
All that matters.
And happy St. Patty's Day. I love the Irish accent. Anyone who knows me knows it. Almost as much as Scottish, but I do love it. Irish people, when they talk, they sound like they're singing, and I love it. It's always it's happy. You know what I mean? Like the energy when they speak. I love them.
Right. But anyways, I remember our guest from last week, super peppy.
Super peppy, yes.
Super peppy.
Yes, so, I love it.
Tonight, not so peppy, but it's going to be really, really informative. I'm going to send the link, so we might want to. Do you want to read the bio?
Yes, I will. Dr. Taylor is one of the few people on the planet that is an experiencer, academic, and educator. He has had a shared near-death experience, which he'll be discussing with us tonight. He has studied near-death experiencers at top-ranked universities as part of his doctoral research. Bet you didn't know that happens. He has developed and taught others a method of exploring the same place NDErs visit during their near-death experiences safely, easily, and without trauma. Wow.
That's new.
Oh.
That's new, right? I know. It's going to be spectacular. He's so versed. He really is. He's so versed in this thing, So I think it's going to be fantastical.
Cool.
I know.
Looking forward to it.
I know. I have to go back to it. Like, I'm glad that they're experiencing, or they're putting in these blurbs, like I love that. A shared near-death experience. So what exactly is a shared near-death experience? I'm sure we're going to find out. So it's just like people who just go on together,
or is it a telepathic thing, or
yeah?
Because I was always alone during
on YouTube today and found, I listened to a few minutes of an interview with him, and I was just like, wow, it's like very emotional.
Well, I would like to know what he means without trauma, because see, I've talked about mine before, my experiences before, and mine, all four are different from each other, and none of them are similar to anyone's that we've ever had on. And I don't understand, because I didn't know what it was till after it happened, except for the one where my mom's like, you need to go back kind of thing, which was the last one, which is the closest to the stereotyped near-death experience that people always talk about with the tunnel and all of that.
Right.
But yeah, I'm interested to hear that. Mine were trauma-free though. There was no trauma. There was all love and what you would think there is, the warmth. And
I mean, we've yet to have someone come on who's really talked about seeing darkness. Like, we've been really fortunate. We've had so many wonderful people coming on and sharing their experiences, and they just seem very calm, where some people don't want to come back, and other people feel, no, I need to come back for my family, my children. We've never really had anyone on who has basically talked about being really horrific, like, get me the heck out of here, clawing their way back sort of thing. I've read about them, but I've not really seemed to I've never really seemed to come across anyone to even invite on that's had that sort of a situation. So I'm just kind of like,
brings on that kind of trauma in a near-death experience, because it's different. I didn't want to come back, but I came back. But I did not. I think that's why I ended up going back 3 times after.
Just trying to find your way back
in the same hour, know.
I'm going back that way.
Yeah, no, I said, no, wrong body.
Yeah, right.
Wrong room.
I know. I just, mine was just so quick. I'm so young. I don't really remember a lot of details about it.
They're very fast. But the funny thing is, if you focus on it and meditatively, you can remember a lot more. Anyways, for myself, I can remember a lot more. And sometimes I get bits and flashes of it. That freaks me out. That I will not lie. That's disturbing for me when that happens.
It sounds like it was pleasant. I mean, it's not. Like, I think it's our soul, our essence, that retains so much of these memories. And it's not so much the physical self, at least from past life, our traumas and things like that. Yet it's funny, because you hear of people who have come back, and let's say they were stabbed or shot, they'll have like a birthmark or a mark on the physical body, which that to me is strange, because it's a whole different thing. You know what I mean? Like, you experience it, but you're not coming back in the same body. So, I'd love to know how that works. Does the individual imprint that somehow into their physical self? Like, it's just, I have so many questions about things like that. And I'm hoping our guest is not struggling to come on. It's just like,
I wonder about the experiences we don't remember. And
Oh.
have people had NDEs and not known it? I mean, you don't have to be in a hospital to have an NDE.
No. Well,
So I think
no.
about that all the time. Like, I wonder, have people had near-death experiences and just dismissed it as them being, you know, gone through a blackout or something and then come through and are okay? I wonder how many people have actually had near-death experiences and do not know.
That's I mean, I had an experience, and you tell me if anybody else has had a similar experience, like chime in. I remember when my children were very young, and I had an infection that set into my head behind my eyes. It was excruciating. Doctor came to the house, everything. I was down for like 5 or 6 days. The
Yeah.
pain was so intense. I kept having a voice come to me and asking me if I was done and if I'd like to go home. Like,
Wow.
would you like it to stop? Would you like to come home? And
Yeah.
I just had babies, you know. I mean, I had literally had babies, and I just kept saying no. And I trudged through all this pain, and it kept coming and coming. And I went,
Thank you, Janie. Yeah. I'm just sorry. Go ahead.
oh, okay. Me too.
I want boobs next time.
Me too.
I don't.
Yeah, so, you know, so yeah, so I don't know. I'm actually going to message our guest. But yeah, so I don't know. Um it was really something that I'd never experienced before. I've never experienced since. I've never been asked in any situation. But it was, it was interesting. Here you go. I'll let you chime off
Yeah.
on that,
Tamara
Amelia.
says that's because we have the opportunity to exit at different points. I believe in that as well. I've had several, like, my NDEs have happened in different times of my life. They weren't all just this one hospital thing. I mean, the sad thing is they've all happened in hospitals because of negligence.
I mean,
I always took it as I was meant to come back. That's why it was there, so that they
right.
could help me, right?
Oh,
Hi, Michael.
oh,
So
not connected. 1 second. I was going to tell him he's not connected.
he's there.
I'm going to send another link as he's struggling with this one. I'm having a repeat performance, I think, of
Oh no.
with MG we had this going on. So bear with me, guys.
No.
Okay, bear with me. I know. Your devices.
Joe wants to come back with boobs. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I would want to come back as a female again.
Here is another link. 1 second. Please give.
I wonder.
Permission to use your mic and cam. All right, I think we're good.
Michelle's just messaging him. I wonder if they had to bring my mom in, like, the big guns at the end, because I was not staying here on this side. And sometimes I wonder if that's the reason why she.
Hey, Michael.
She came in the last one. Can you imagine? Here, let me do it.
Yeah.
I've got this one. I know her really well. I know how to get her back there.
Oh my gosh, I know. I don't get it. Okay, he said it's not letting me in.
Oh no.
Please see my last email.
I wouldn't be surprised. Russian hackers, they hate the Canadians right now, big time.
Email. New link to try. Yeah, this is just, come on.
Anybody besides Wayne have if you're in chat, have an NDE that was crazy creepy?
Yes. Oh yeah, Wayne had a ridiculous one. It was just like, it was ridiculous. Again, it wasn't like this. I have done that numerous times. Oh
no.
Okay, try new link.
Might just be switching this over to Q&A. We're always ready for that, but we're hoping that Dr. Scott Taylor, where is he coming in from?
He's the stateside, so I don't
Well,
understand.
that's really strange. Does he have it on Chrome?
Yep.
He does. Okay.
Yep.
For those of you that are not watching, because I know a lot of you are listening, so I'm just describing what Michelle's doing because you can't see her.
No, it's true.
So-
I'm just trying to communicate with the guests. He may have a firewall.
You can't kick that producer director out of my blood.
Yeah, let's find out. Do you have a...
So today was a crazy warm day here.
It was.
Yeah,
It was
we
beautiful.
reached 19 degrees in southern Ontario.
It was nice. It was nice.
I didn't go outside. I just heard.
No, it was nice. We were outside working all day. So
I don't go anywhere.
I know.
But
All right, we are still doing this.
that is so funny.
Tried.
Tell him to shut the computer off and Michael said, tell him to shut the computer off and restart.
Please do a restart. Oh, this is just going to just blow if we can't get this, guys. Thank you, Michael. Our tech guy from the chat room. Yeah,
let's hope so. Well, Michael's a host on the network. He was actually on right before us tonight.
That's it. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the red pill.
The red pill.
Red pill. That's right. Take the red pill.
What if I want to take the pink one?
I think the pink pill. I don't know. I don't know, man. He was
Hammer's shaky. Sorry, you know what?
It's the freaking sisterhood tonight, so it could have been the pink one.
It's me, Wayne. It's me. It's on a stand, and you see that? That's me kicking up against the table. I'm so sorry.
I know.
Yeah, the camera's not shaky. It's the stand. The stupid laptop is on. I bought a new stand. Although I think I probably own this stand somewhere.
Blocker. I'll let him know when he messages me. He's quiet right now. I'm thinking he's just restarting.
Yeah, sometimes it does come up as a pop-up blocker.
I know.
I had to say that very slowly because I could have gone very wrong.
I actually, I've been using this format for quite some time, and it basically asked me again today to give permission to use it. Okay, twice already.
I had to.
Oh my goodness!
I had to close and start on another link when you sent it to me. It just came up as Google asking me to use my camera. And I just closed off all the windows and hit the link again.
Okay.
See what happens. So any good horrors out, guys? Since we're waiting. Has anybody seen anything good? Horror, paranormal, mystery. If you want a feel-good movie, you have to watch The Upside. That was such an incredible story, and I'm pretty sure it's based on a true story.
Okay, so we're going to wait and see. I don't really know what else.
Other than Flatliners, is there any movies that...
I'm getting motion sickness. Stop it.
Sorry. I'm sorry, Wayne.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just... I know.
I'm that little sister. You see, I said sorry, and then
I know. It's just nice and annoying. Do it again.
I'm that little sister.
And trying to keep up with the...
terrifying.
Wayne's NDE, just trying to keep up with the theme, and hopefully he's going to come on. We have a lot of people coming in to watch right now. Boo.
I know.
I wish we could just call people. That would just be so much easier, But anyway, we're here now. So I know.
I am right there. I'm trying not to laugh or touch the desk right now.
Wayne's experience, he was on a boat. I think you've heard us talk about that, going down, why we always say like the river Styx, but there was all kinds of people on a boat with them, and they were all like facing ahead, and the guy is just throwing. He's very, very quiet, and Wayne's a sweetie, right? So it's just nothing like, I don't know. What did you guys do to celebrate St. Patty's Day? Not enough, because we're here with you fine people.
You came late. I wore this pretty bow in my hair. You came late. It was here, but it looked too much like a bandage in the light, so I took it off.
Yeah.
That's what I did. Yeah.
I am just like totally
old sailing ship, a dark
galleon.
And that didn't make you nauseous, but me talking on my table makes you nauseous.
I know. That's crazy. I'm just going to email.
I have a lot of
try it
practice
like
being a
this.
little sister, just saying.
I'm going to try it like this. You just keep talking.
Yeah, I got 3 brothers. I got a lot of
Okay.
practice. But hopefully my brothers aren't watching now going, what did she do? It's her fault, not you, meaning me. St. Patrick was Italian, yes. That's why I wore it.
Go.
And it's on my timeline too. He was Italian.
He was Italian
Patrizio.
indeed. Yes.
Patrizio.
Yes,
San Patrizio.
Except Outlook. Okay, hold on. I sent a new link and a new email. I just don't know what to do. I'm just like, I don't know what to do.
So Wayne, are you camera ready? We can bring you in and you can talk about your NDE. Are you camera ready, darling?
I know, right? He's just like, oh no, I'm in my work clothes.
Well, you could send him. You could just send him the link. He could just speak.
That's true. He doesn't have to come on. Okay, we'll give it a little bit, and hey,
when you can come and tell your
NDE
story,
you want to chime in on?
we'll send you a link.
We'll send you a link. Yeah, eat pizza in the shape of a shamrock.
Works for me.
Yeah,
pizza works in any shape.
Are you sending one? I'm down. Gads no. Why not? You can come in, but you don't actually have to be on camera, Wayne.
Yeah,
How about that? How about that?
Speak.
Well, we're gonna wait and see because I have to see.
And he does so many impressions. He could pick any voice, and you would never know if it's his or not unless you know him.
Do an Irish voice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, just for today.
Now I want pizza.
I always want pizza.
I know. So this is.
I got asked a stupid question. What do you want to eat for your birthday?
Okay, 1 second. It's still. They will need to connect their mic and cam before you can add them to the stream. Okay. It's saying that you need to your mic and cam in order to be.
Michelle's just communicating with our guest. We're hoping that things change and not too many of you have walked away. Please don't walk away.
Yeah, please don't walk away. We're fun.
Because we are fun. And if you're listening in archive, just fast forward till you hear a lot more talking. Don't let go.
I know. Edit mic settings 4. Automatically adjust volume, echo. I can't do anything because
you don't want me as
here he is. Oh my gosh, you're here. No camera though.
Echo.
Hello. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't see you, and we have an echo.
Because your speaker's on.
It's true.
Yeah.
It was the only way I could hear you.
It's those few days experience I have as a producer. Your speakers are on.
Everybody's chiming in, so we're just like, oh, come on. So
how's that? Does that sound all right?
Yes.
Sounds great. We can't see you, but we'll take your voice.
So.
Nope. No. And gone. No, come back.
Please.
Come back.
I was. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm thinking not having the beer before the show was a bad idea. Just saying.
We should have had it.
Should have had green beer.
I know. Yeah. This just like we're having green coffee. Or not, maybe not. Would that be cool? Green tea. Oh, okay, we're back.
Do you know how to change cameras?
Here we go.
We don't have a camera.
I think underneath, because even here, there's settings that underneath the screen. Have you ever been on StreamYard before? Yeah, underneath there's settings. Maybe you can work with that. Because it gives you everything there, camera, audio, all kinds of things that you should be able to access right here on the soundboard for yourself. But if not, like I said, we've got your voice. Oh, wait, no, that was good. You're teasing us. There we are.
There we go.
Yes.
Now we've got the echo that we're still dealing with, though.
Echo. Oh, yeah, we have a bit of an echo still.
Do you have earbuds, Dr. Taylor?
There we go.
Here we go.
Okay, that's not too bad. We got it.
How's that? If I just get close to the microphone, we'll make that work.
All right.
So
Can you-
happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone.
Thank
Happy
you. The same to you as well. So we're getting feedback. Are you hearing any feedback?
You
Because we're
guys
hearing
sound just perfectly clear.
Okay. Yeah,
let's see.
I don't not
Well,
hearing as
because
much of a feedback now.
our
are you?
voice is going back into that microphone. It's
Okay,
there.
one second.
It's there.
There we go.
All right.
That's what I asked, Wayne. If you have headphones, it would be much better to keep your sound that way rather than
All right.
have us on an open speaker.
Hold on.
Thank you.
We're just grateful we can see you.
I know. This is great. It's like, I know. Okay. This is good. This is good.
It happens sometimes.
That's great. Thankfully, there's like nobody on after us because then we can just get, more of the show in, which is great.
But we've already hit record. We're going to lose can't go too far over and then we won't be on.
Oh, no, we're
archive.
fine as long as I don't try to use it up any other way.
Okay.
It's just when I try to put the archives here, it's a long story. There. Can you hear us okay?
I can hear you great.
Great.
Awesome.
Now
Yes.
it's perfect.
Ooh, it's got that deep radio voice going on too. I like
Now
it.
it's
So,
perfect because we don't have that feedback.
ideal. So how are you? I mean, wow.
I'm a little frazzled at the moment, but other than that, I'm doing all right. Thank you for asking.
Oh
Don't
my
be.
gosh.
It happens. It happens with the best of us, honestly.
No, really, we had to really work for you tonight. It's just like, wow. But I know it's going to be worth it. So, wow, let's just get right to the chase then. Why I usually say, I like to go into humble beginnings, but this happened to you, pretty much later on in life. So I'm just going to let you take it whichever direction you want to go, and we'll follow along, and go from there. And people will chime in and chat, and we'll put that up for you as
right.
it becomes relevant.
Yeah.
All right. Well, one of the reasons I wanted to be on this radio show, I like the title, Outer Realms.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you have to say it like that.
You do.
Maybe we'll get you to do that
Outer
voiceover
realm.
for us.
Yes, that deep radio voice. You should say it a few times.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll just flip it. No worries.
Well, back in 1981, I had a shared death experience.
Mhm.
And that languaging didn't even exist then. It wasn't until probably 20 years later that Raymond Moody invented it. And what it is when somebody is dying, I should just tell my story, but let's just do that. Yeah, let's go there. Okay.
The show and the stage is yours. So wherever you want to take it.
All right. So in 1981, I was in love with a woman. Her name was Mary Fran. And she and her son, Nolan, who had just turned 7, had spent the day out at Lake Washington in southern Minnesota. Mary Fran was taking a sailing lesson, and Nolan was messing around on the beach with his babysitter. Well, on the way home, Mary Fran attempted to make a left-hand turn onto a county road, and as close as I can figure out, when she checked to see if there were cars coming, she looked straight into the setting sun, didn't see the car, and it struck her car right in the driver's side door, killing her instantly. And Nolan had this mortal head injury. They took the both of them to Mayo in Rochester, Minnesota, where they tried desperately to save Nolan's life, but the injury was just too severe.
I'm so sorry.
And it took him about 6 days for him to make his transition. That's important because Mary Fran was one of 9 children, and Nolan was the eldest grandchild. So he held a really heartfelt place in that family. And so with that 6 days, that allowed the whole family to gather and be there to support him. And so you have to imagine with a big family that it's, not only was it Mary Fran's brothers and sisters, but it's their boyfriends and girlfriends and spouses and uncles and aunts and grandparents and friends of the family. And that's just her side. And then there's my side of the family who shows. So there was a ton of people who were there. That becomes important in a second. But what this amount of people allowed us to do was we divvied up the time, and every 2 hours we were next to, we went into Nolan's hospital room and, tried to keep him company, tried to keep him active and, just engaged with the family. Now, Nolan was in a coma this whole time, so he wasn't responsive to us. But what we know about people who are in comas, and certainly those who are in the last stage of dying, is that hearing is the last sense to go. So it was important that we were there and trying to keep him engaged. Well, on the 6th morning, Mary Fran's eldest sister, Janie, and I had the shift from 3 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the morning. And we read him stories and we told him all kinds of really funny things about when you try to pack 50 people into this really small waiting room and they're all trying to sleep and they're stealing pillows from all over Mayo to great beds. And there's just endless varieties of stories trying to, people trying to make the best of a bad situation. It got to be about 4:45 and Janie looked at me and she goes, we need to do something. And she goes at the end of the bed and she picks up the chart. Now, Janie has been, at this point, she's been an emergency room and trauma nurse for a lot of years. So she read the chart. She looked up at all the monitors surrounding his bed. And she just said to me, Scott, it's time. So we grabbed a couple of chairs and we sat by Nolan's head and we told him that he had been a very brave young man and that he had been fighting and trying to stay with us. And we loved him for that. But if his mother could come, now remember Mary Fran died 6 days before, but if his mother should come to pick him up, that it was okay for her to go. It was okay for him to go with her, and that would be a good thing. So we said our goodbyes, and it got to be 5 o'clock, and we left the room, and the next shift came in. Well, it wasn't 45 minutes later that the nurse on the floor came in and woke us all up and said, we're close. You should join Nolan. So we all piled into this little hospital room, all 50 of us. And as it just turns out, I was one of the last people to enter the room because of where I was sleeping, and which meant that it was already about 4 deep around the bed. And I just wound up sitting on the windowsill. And we waited, and it was a very slow decline. And at some point, there's that ominous tone that happens with when it flatlines. And when he flatlined, what I witnessed was Mary Fran coming across the veil and scooping Nolan up out of his physical body.
Wow.
And there's just such a joyous, exquisite reunion as you can only imagine between mother and child.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And so it was joyous. It was, it was exquisite. I think that's the best word for it. And I was kind of surprised that I was able to, excuse me, I was surprised that I was able to witness that and be there emotionally. But then what happened truly surprised me. The two of them turned to me, embraced me, and then the three of us left and went to the light.
Wow.
So I'm, this isn't like a near-death experience in the fact that, I didn't have any physical trauma. I'm just sitting on the window ledge next to Mary Fran's brother, Willie. But all of a sudden, I find myself in the light with Mary Fran and Nolan. And what I experienced was this incredible love of the universe. It was like I was attached to everything that was loving. And the three of us had a chance to communicate with one another. It wasn't done verbally.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't like English going back and forth, but it's a wordless communication that is better than communication.
Right.
So it was we had a chance to express our love for each other. We had a chance to say how much we meant to each other, and we had a chance to say goodbye, and then we just kind of hung out in that space with each other for a while, and then it was over. I mean, it was like, not over, that's not the right word. It was like complete.
Yeah.
And at that point, the two of them turned. Mary Fran led Nolan off further into the light, and I came back to my physical body.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish it was. It's taken me 40 years to come up with the language to describe that, but it's not over, because there's part 2 to this.
Right.
Which is, so I'm sitting there on the window ledge next to Willie, and the whole time that I'm in the light with Mary Fran and Nolan, I am also in the room with all of the other grieving relatives. So now we have a word for that. I didn't then. It's called bilocation. I had 2 very distinctive, separate consciousnesses that allowed me to be present with her and present in the room. And what was happening in the room, as you can imagine, they had just lost their cousin, their nephew, their grandson, and everybody's hugging each other and crying on each other's shoulders. And I'm sitting there, and inside of me, there is this loving light of the universe that's just trying to burst out. And I am so filled with joy and love and this connection to Mary Fran, Nolan, and everyone in the room. I mean, I had this ecstasy on my face, and I knew it was completely inappropriate. If anybody had looked at me, they would have really misunderstood what was going on. So the only thing I could think of would be, I just covered my face with my hands until I came back to my physical body and was able to put the 2 parts of me back together again.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to be there in the room with them as, we all said our last goodbyes and filed out. So this was my experience, and it
That's amazing.
completely it completely changed my life. Um, I grew up in southern Minnesota, a little town called Mankato. You may actually recognize that because in Little House on the Prairie, Michael Landon and his family, when they
Right.
went to the big city, that's where they went. They went to Mankato.
Wow.
And
I knew it sounded familiar.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, so Laura Ingalls Wilder and her her family, Pa.
Right.
Pa was
Yeah.
crazy, by the way. Um, so I grew up in this small town and um, grew up in the Presbyterian Church. And let's just say that Presbyterians don't talk about things like bilocation. They don't talk about the ability to see someone cross the veil or to recognize when they've left their physical body and be able to witness that. They certainly didn't talk about this idea that in the moment of my greatest grief, I am in my greatest joy. And when I talk about this, sometimes it gets emotional for me, but um, you have to know that yes, there's some sadness to losing Mary Fran and Nolan, but it's also an expression of when I talk about it, it's like I get to touch that space again.
Mm.
And it's so extraordinary that, um, you know, tears
Oh,
come and
we're right here with you on that level. Yeah.
so it's, I didn't know what had happened to me
Mm.
and I didn't know how it would be received. So I didn't tell anybody for 15 years. It
Wow.
was, it, um,
That's a
but
hard pill to swallow, I guess.
She gave
Like,
you a
yeah,
gift. She gave you
it
a
was
gift in that moment.
extraordinary. Yeah, it was an extraordinary gift.
Yeah.
yes.
And um, one of the
Phil,
things we know about shared death experiences, and this is recent. I mean, this like in the last month, this research came out from William Peters. He did a rather large study on shared death experiences, and one of the things we know about that this can happen to anybody. You don't have to be special, or there's some things you can do to help prepare. Uh, but one of the critical factors is that the person who is making the transition is the one to invite you into the light. So in my case, it was Nolan
Mm.
who invited me to be with he and his mother, as and then as they went into the light. So it was a real it was a real parting gift, and in particular, what makes it even more special for me is that Nolan's biological father never recognized him, and Nolan never knew who he was. Mary Fran wouldn't wouldn't tell him because it was it, it
Complicated.
just
yeah.
thank you,
You're
beautiful
welcome.
word.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was complicated, and
Yes.
so
Yes.
anyway, here I am in his life, and he desperately wanted a father, and
He chose you.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he chose me.
you did.
So it was very special that way that he would make that invitation, and that Mary Fran was there to help facilitate that. So
It was a
anyway,
gift. Yeah,
so
an
yeah, so
amazing gift.
that's the story.
That's an incredible story. That's
Wow.
not something that happens all the time. The
Uh,
family, gone through so much. They lost their daughter like 6, 7 days before, and he was the last link to her.
That's right.
So this makes it even that more difficult, and the fact that they chose you aside from any other family member is quite a gift, and it speaks volumes as to their love for you.
Okay, so that's not quite true.
Uh-oh. They bring grandma along too.
Uh, no.
Oh,
So, so fast forward 15 years,
okay.
60, whatever. I'm at the University of St. Thomas, which is Minnesota's largest private university.
Hmm.
And I'm in their doctoral program, and I'm writing my dissertation. And I had decided to write it about people that had near-death experiences.
Hmm.
And I had to find people to talk to. So I put out word to hospitals and hospices and healthcare workers, and most of them, because of HIPAA, just said, nope, we can't share any of that information. You gotta find people on your own.
Hmm.
And one of the things was that Mary Fran's family, like all the women in the family, were nurses. And so I just put the word out to them saying, I am studying this. Can you, do you know anybody that I could talk to? Well, it turns out one of them writes me back and says, I actually had that happen to me. Do you want to interview me? Now, she asked to remain anonymous, so I can't say her name.
That's okay.
But so we did. We got together, and I went through the usual protocols of, you get the tape recorder ready, and you do your little thing for the university. Excuse me. And so she tells me her story, and the story is pretty quick. It's kind of fun. She had been at her parents' house and was taking a new medication, and had laid down to take a nap and had an adverse reaction to the medication. And the next thing she knows is that she is floating in this world of gray. And out of this mist of gray comes Mary Fran. And Mary Fran's got her hands on her hips, and she is not pleased. She has her finger out, and she's doing the wag thing. And so she tells her sister, you have got to go back, and you have got to go back now.
Wow.
To which the sister looked at her and said, well, nice to see you too, Mary Fran. And,
all right.
And Mary Fran goes, was not to be distracted. You have got to go back. And she just shouted at her, now. Well, it startled her so much that she instantly went back into her physical body,
Wow.
opened her eyes, and when she did, she saw an EMT turn away from her and say to his buddy, he says, I have done everything I can. We've lost her. And the buddy across the room, the other EMT, happened to be looking at the sister when he said that, and he went, no, she opened her eyes. And they, of course, quick bundled her up and got her off to the hospital
Wow.
and did whatever magic doctors do, and she lived. So
Wow.
that was her story.
Mm-hmm.
So we get all done, and I turn off the tape recorder, and I'm packing it up, and this thought pops into my head. I said, when Nolan made his transition 15 years ago, we were all in the hospital room together. And something really unusual happened to me. Is there any chance that anything unusual happened to you? And her eyes got big as saucers. And taking that as a yes, I turned the tape recorder back on and said to her, well, I tell you what, why don't you tell me your story first? And then I'll tell you my story, and we'll compare notes. This is what she said. she said, Scott, I was standing, a couple deep back from the bed. I was across the room from you, so I knew where she was. And she said, when Nolan flatlined, what she witnessed was Mary Fran coming across the veil, scooping Nolan up out of his physical body. They had this exquisite reunion in which she got to participate. And then the two of them turned to her, and the three of them went to the light together. She had exactly the same experience that I did. She used exactly the same words that I used. And if I had any doubt that it was real, it evaporated like that in an instant. I knew that I wasn't crazy, that I didn't imagine it, that I wasn't, had some kind of psychological break. I don't know, all kinds of things run through your mind. But here she had exactly the same experience that I did. And what we both didn't know was that there were four of us that went to the light and not three. It's a little trickier than that because, once you're in that space, time and space have a whole different meaning. So it was appropriate for the three of us because it really was just Mary Fran, Nolan, and me communicating with each other, and they were someplace else communicating with the sister. So, that part gets a little confusing, but it did happen.
It lends to the theory that people believe the soul can split.
Oh yeah,
several times because you had it each happen to you.
Quadrants, yeah.
Yeah, in my reading subsequent, I have found that yogis in India have been known to split their souls, and the one I know, the one that most impressed me was one who could do it in 6 different locations at once.
Wow.
So so I've taught meditation now for 35 years with the Monroe Institute and now with my own institute. And it's relatively easy to teach people to do it into 3. So it wouldn't surprise me that somebody who'd spent their life meditating and understanding what consciousness is could easily do it into 6. So, more power to them.
Right. Well, I'm definitely anxious to hear all about that, but I want you to take us through, whichever direction you want to go, because I know you've done this many times and I don't want to throw you off. So.
Well, one of the things that, I know your listeners have probably been on YouTube and listened to people doing near-death experiences, and shared death experiences are a lot like near-death experiences. There's just a couple of really subtle differences, but essentially it's the same genre. The difference, of course, is that with near-death experiences, for the vast majority, there's some sort of physical trauma that happens to you and your body dies, and then you leave, go have an adventure, and then come back to the physical body. But with a shared death experience, there's obviously there's nothing wrong with my physical body. It's just that I've been invited into another world and to share other people's experiences in that world. And mine was a brief meeting, if that's because I've read and talked to people who've had really extensive experiences. They got to go with. So there's the person making the transition, and then there's the experiencer. That's the language I'm using. so the experiencer gets to go with the person making the transition, and they go into the light, they go into and get to hang out at the reunion with all of the dead friends and relatives, and everybody gets to catch up, and the experiencer witnesses this whole thing. And then usually after that, a being of light shows up and escorts the person making their transition into a life review. And the life review is an extraordinary thing. And the experiencer gets to be part of that life review and gets to know everything about what happened. And so the life review, what makes it so just an amazing thing is that it happens from 3 different perspectives simultaneously. And that means that you get to relive your life again. And you get to relive it just like we're doing now, with every sensation, with every emotion, with every thought. It's all there, and you get to experience it. It's like the whole thing happens. People will say, my life flashed before my eyes. Well, that's literally true, that in an instant you relive your whole life, everything, that quickly. And so the whole thing happens simultaneously, which is another thing that's kind of hard to grasp. But you remember who you are, and the being of light is with you, and their job is to love you through the experience. And what that means mostly is there's no judgment. The only judge in the room is you, the person who's going through it. You judge your own life. That's it. Nobody else judges. The being of light is there to love you, and typically they ask only one question, just over and over again, and that's, what did you learn from this experience? What did you learn from this experience? Some people have a little different experience. There's this wonderful woman by the name of Martha who I had a chance to interview, and she described it as being in this world of gray, and floating in the world are like these lava. You remember lava lamps?
Yes.
So those
You can still
colored.
buy them. You can still get one.
I should have got one around here somewhere.
So you have these colored balls that are floating around.
Yes.
And the second that you put your attention onto one of the colored balls, you're instantly in a scene. And you get to relive that scene as you, complete with all of the sensations and emotions. And you have the ability to speed up or slow down or stop the scene. I talked to one guy who was in a scene from his life, and he slowed it way down, and he could count the number of mosquitoes that were flying around him as he was mowing the lawn.
Wow.
And so it's in like super HD. It's clear, it's crisp. You can speed it up, slow it down. And if you don't know how to do that, your being of light is right there, to kind of teach you how to do that. And then you get to also experience it at the same time as the other person in the scene. So say I'm at a grocery checkout counter, and there's a young girl who's trying to check me out, and it's not going well, and the computer's not cooperating. And in this scene from my life, I snap at her and, tell her she needs to be competent and learn her job. And essentially I'm being a jerk. And so that's the scene in my life. And the being of light says to me, well, what did you learn from that? Like, yeah, I was a class A jerk. because in that scene, I'm also her. And I get to
Wow.
experience the scene as the young girl behind the checkout counter. And what I find
Oh,
out
boy.
is that it's her first day on the job. And Bob, the store manager, was supposed to train her on the registers, but he got busy. And he
Yeah.
said, here, just go here. I'll open it up for you, and then just follow the prompts on the screen. It'll lead you straight through it. It's very intuitive. Don't worry about it. Well, it's not
Right.
intuitive, and
No.
she's 16 and
Oh.
nervous, and so
Yeah.
here I am. I'm the first person she's checking out, and
Right.
I snap at her, and so when I leave, she's crying. She goes home, has a fight with her boyfriend. The boyfriend goes and kicks the cat, and you get to,
Oh,
it,
right.
right?
A chain
So,
reaction.
and then you also get to see the scene from a third perspective simultaneously, and that would be from up here someplace, the omniscient perspective, God's
Mm,
perspective, if you will.
right.
And in it, you get to see that, that scene plays out and how it played out for the young girl, her boyfriend, both their families, the community, and then how it affected, human beings in general. And the same with me, how it affected me. I think I'm late to a meeting, so I'm tense, and I show up the meeting and it doesn't go well because.
Mm,
So, at this point, here's the price of admission for all of you that waited 20 minutes for this technology to get going. This is your reward, because in this life review, you have the ability to change it. So that's what beings of light are for. You say, I'd like to relive this scene in my life again, only I'd like to do it differently this time. And so the being of light will rewind it and you play it again. Only this time I say, how long have you been on the job? 10 minutes. And I say, all of us had a first day on the first job and we're nervous and computers don't often work right. And just take your time, take a deep breath. It'll all be just fine. We'll figure out how to make the paperwork work. If I had done that, what then happened? Well, I get to see how that played out to her boyfriend, to the family, to the poor cat, to the meeting I had, how everything would have been different.
It's fascinating to me because you were there as a third party, like when you pass or you transition, you go through this. But it's so fascinating to me to think that you can be brought in to partake in this and you're going through the exact same process. So it's almost like you have a second chance to right the wrongs, right?
It's exactly right. You hit it right on the head, Michelle.
Wow.
How does that work with criminals?
What this allows us to do is to fix our karma right then, right there. If we said, you know what, this could have been done differently, and we relive it. Maybe we do it 2, 3, 4, 5 times to get it right. I'm thinking Groundhog Day, right? And the cool thing is what I've been told is that each of the times that we got to relive it, that becomes part of the human experience too, just as real as if it had happened in 3D. So it's like another timeline got set up, and we got to experience how things would have changed. And it adds to us as a human species about, kindness and generosity and, anyway, I think it's a wonderful gift from the non-physical universe, from the love of the universe, that we get second, third, fourth chances. We get to judge how it is that this turned out, and how we would have liked to have it turned out. So I told you that I had this woman, Martha, who told me about the lava blobs. That's what her life review is like. And at the end of her telling me this, she said, I'm going to clean this up a little bit, but
of course,
essentially said she was a huge jerk in her family.
Right. Yeah.
And her favorite thing to do was at family gatherings. And she was one of 10, big family. She used to see how long it could take her to get everybody fighting with each other.
Oh.
And so she would.
I know someone like that.
Yeah, and they tell half truths and pit people against each other, and for her that was fun. Well, in her life review, she got to be every member of the family and got to see how destructive and how mean and how awful that was for everybody. And she said it was just hell to have to relive that all again. And it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. And then when she came back, she spent the next years of her life repairing her relationships with her family and trying to prove to them and to herself that she was worthy and that they were all loved, and that she was going to be an expression of the love of the universe and try to be a healing agent back when she returned. And like, what a blessing for all of us. And not comfortable for her, that's for sure.
Awkward. Yeah.
Awkward.
I'd like to know what happens to people who kill and commit crimes, and they have to go through this. Do they go through this? What happens with them? That's my biggest curiosity. You know?
There's some very famous stories about one of them that I remember distinctly. PMH Atwater talks about it. She'd interviewed a guy who was a mafia hitman and beat people up and, help them make their transition. And he got to be, on the receiving end of all of his job performance. And how horrible that was, and how the fear and the losing families and spouses, and it was just Daniel Brinkley. He wrote a series of books that are wonderful. He's a very funny guy, but he was a sniper in Vietnam, and he got to relive everybody that he killed on the battlefield.
That has to be difficult, because that's something that your mind and your soul fight with, because you're fighting for your country and you're not killing just to kill, but yet you are. I can't imagine. That's why several of them have PTSD who come back from war. It's understandable.
Yeah. So it's a very sobering time. And to go back to where we got into all this, was there people who had shared death experiences like me that got to participate, and they got to relive the whole thing just like the experiencer, and intimately understand what was happening in this person's life. And they're invited in. It's not like they're a voyeur or something.
No, but that's still, if you've done something traumatic in your life and you've been giving this gift, and you're faced with that. I mean, have you ever come across anybody that's just like, I don't even want to go back and show my face to the living, because, oh my gosh, I am just completely ashamed. How do you recover from something like that if you're not prepared? You can't go back and face everybody.
Well, the recovery is that we are profoundly and unconditionally loved by the universe.
Right.
There is no option on that.
Right.
And so as a result, they can come back into the physical world with this sense of compassion for themselves.
Right.
That was me then, this is me now, and I understand how the world works now, and it's different than I thought. And
You have to
the
forgive
only
yourself.
thing I can do is come from a place of love and compassion.
Right.
And
But you have to forgive yourself first, I guess.
there you go.
Right.
Yep.
Right. That's hard
And
for some people.
it is, but it happens in the light. They are
Right.
totally forgiven.
Right.
This being of light has some amazing qualities. There are many people who talk about when they meet this being of light, they have this this sense of merging with them. So it's like I have my energy here, and the being of light has the energy here, and then the two of them come together, and the being of light has this ability to know everything about you. There is no such thing as a hidden place or a secret or something dark or can't be looked at. And what the being of light does is put all of this loving light into you, such that all of the secrets, all of the dark places, all of those things that you're not comfortable sharing they just go away. They just are like melted away. The light is so powerful that it just dissolves all of it. And so you come back a totally changed person, because you got to realize that you are the loving light of the universe. And we are, it's that universe. I call it the unity universe. It's where, we are this thing that is human, and we are connected with everything in the universe. And at the same time, we get to be an individual too.
Right.
It's kind of hard to explain.
I always say we're beings of light having a human experience.
Yep. And so we get to be the all, and we get to be individual at the same time.
Right.
So we are connected and we are separate. So it's
wow. Wow.
Yeah, so we get to, and it's the same thing here in the physical, except we just don't realize in this world of duality that this filter's been put there that says, no,
we're not allowed to see anything.
You're not allowed to do that, because that's why you came here.
Exactly. You're not special. You're just going to live it.
Yeah. With all of the ugliness and the uncertainty and the ignorance and the...
Right. 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 But then we have you sharing your experience. I know, it's fantastic. So, okay, so
we talked about this loving light of the universe. One of the things that I think is kind of cool is that there are 3 different kinds of light, and each type of light has its own type of experience. So there's the bright white light at the end of the tunnel, there's black light, and there's clear light. And so, I mean, we've all watched enough movies that we get a sense of what the white light at the end of the tunnel is all about.
Sometimes it's a train. Just saying.
Yeah, well, there's a lesson in that too.
Right. Right. But yes, we typically it's the white light that we're hoping is on a train is the one I think everybody looks for.
And so, yeah, so it's like the white, powerful light that fills you with light. And if you were, some people described it as like as bright as a million suns. And yet it still doesn't hurt your eyes because you don't have physical eyes. You have,
Right.
the non-physical eyes can take this. It's just hugely bright light, and it is an outward manifestation of the love of God. It is the love that is everything. And some very clever people that I've had a chance to talk to, when they were facing this white light, they turned around because they were curious to see if there was a shadow. And the answer is no, there isn't. Because you become part of the light. It's not like it's an outside thing.
Right.
It's like you have become part of this brilliant white light. You think you're separate, but you become part of it. Black light, on the other hand, entirely different experience. In this one, it's you're going back to source. If you're Genesis fans, Genesis 2 talks about, in the beginning there was the void, the deep. It depends on which translation you have, but essentially it's before everything there was this dark place. And the people who talk about entering into the black light, almost to a person, they do the same gesture. They cross their arms and they kind of rock forward, and they talk about how they are held and loved, and that this is unconditional love. I think the best description of it I've heard is that it's the womb of God. Isn't that lovely?
It is.
And so it's where all things exist before form. And third, the clear light experience is the kind that I had. And in this experience, so we're all in some sort of environment right now. I've got, the light and the bookshelf behind me. I got this microphone and this desk, and I'm at. In a clear light experience, which you would begin to realize that everything is exuding its own light. Everything is made up of the light of the universe. And you would look at yourself and you would begin to lose your boundaries, because in this space, you have stepped into another dimension that is the love of the universe. Robin Williams did a film called What Dreams May Come.
Excellent film. Excellent film.
In that film, he steps into this new space, and I don't know if you remember, but it's a scene that's all paint. Yes. It's a landscape that's painted. And to me, that's what it feels like to step into a clear light experience. It's like all of, the individual flowers kind of just disappear into the swath of paint that's exuding this amazing, pinkish red light. So anyway, that's, and it's really hard to put words to that.
It is.
In the world of near-death research, there's a common elements, and typically on everybody's list, the first element is that it is ineffable, which is a great English word for we don't have words to describe this.
Right. Yes, we do. Technically speaking.
It's ineffable.
Right.
And I tell you, I've had, 40 years to try to put language to what happened between Mary Fran and Nolan and me. But I you know,
Right.
you got 20% of it, and the other 80 I still haven't found the words for.
I can't even imagine. I mean, I think you described it eloquently, and I think you described it in a way where we could all feel it. We could feel it coming from you. You know, it's like you, as much as you're mourning the loss, you're having this experience that's just, it was a gift. But to experience your life, you know, the way they were experiencing theirs, and you get to come back, you get to make those changes, you're given that second chance, and you get to teach other people how to do it, which sounds to me like they were trying to maybe push you into a different path because, you know, apparently we're supposed to know what we're doing before we come here. That's the theory anyway. But the
Yeah.
light beings, I'm sure, do. And, you know, and thinking, oh, we know what you'd be really great at, you know, and here you are doing it. Look, I do have a question though. When you're looking at this dark light, because we know what happens with the clear light, because here you are, you know, you've experienced it. Do you think this is where people go maybe to be reborn, reincarnated, the womb of God, as you say? Is this, you know?
Oh, that's a great question.
Thank you.
In the world of Monroe meditation and in the world of NDE research, there is a place that's called the park. Some people describe it as the area of life between lives. And it's a vibratory state that we enter into as we leave our physical bodies. We go back there, and this is the realm of healing and regeneration center. It's where the Akashic records are. It's where the universities are, the teaching centers of each of the professions. I had a friend of mine who was in that space, and they're organized into like crystal cities. And
Wow.
so he decided to walk down one of the streets just to see if there was something that interested him. And well, it turns out he rounded the corner, and there was the University of Baking. And he loved to bake.
That would be me, baking and cooking.
There you go. So
Yeah.
he goes inside, and there's all of these beings who are figuring out how to bake better.
Oh,
And
I'll be the
so
taster.
and so, you know, what they say is that, you know, it gets developed on the non-physical realm first, and when they figure it out, it gets disseminated to those of us in the physical. So he was just totally entranced with this idea that there was a place for me where I could, yeah. The other great story, I was, one of the things that I do is I teach people how through meditation to go to the same places near-death experiencers go to. And so it's that section of the course where we go to the Crystal City and everybody finds their home. You know, what most interests you. And, you know, maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's work, maybe it's some philosophy, whatever. There's a place for you, and there's people there talking about it. So after we get done with the exercise, he comes back and, you know, said, "Hey, Fred, where'd you go?" And he goes, "I've always been curious about humor. It had never occurred to me." And he goes, "I want to know about jokes." So, okay. He said, so I walked into this place, and there's these round tables, and there's about 8 people sitting around each table, and they are very seriously talking about what made that joke funny. Which I think is hysterical in itself.
It is. It's not funny when you're dissecting it.
It's like, what if we use this different word? What if we do this?
Wow.
So, okay, so that we're back into 3D here. One of the things that my wife and I have loved to do was watch the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Okay.
So it's a TV show about a woman comic in the 1950s, and they do a wonderful job in there of like she'll do a set and show her doing this set like 10 times and tweaking the joke just a little bit each time until she really gets the reaction that she wants. And so that's what makes me think about what these folks were doing around the table going, what if we said it with a
All serious trying to dissect something funny. It's not funny.
So, now it's not funny.
No, dissecting
which is funny. That is not funny.
The pun. Yeah. So
I need to slide in with a station ID. Sorry.
Yes.
You're listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and myself, Amelia Pizzano. Tonight's amazing guest is Dr. Scott Taylor, and we are talking about a shared near-death experience and near-death experiences. We are airing live in the beautiful city of New Orleans on 105.3 FM radio. We're streaming right now on YouTube, UFO Paranormal International Public Radio, and UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials Radio, as well as all of our group pages, our Facebook group pages, rather, including Canada's Most Haunted and The Outer Realm. A huge thanks goes to award-winning composer Dr. Snick the Sonic Surgeon, aka Justin Snicker, for our fabulous intro and outro. You can purchase his music on Amazon in Bandcamp. Find Justin on social media at Facebook and Instagram. And then the biggest thank you, a massive thank you to Folgers Coffee for being with us from day one. And you're the reason that we're here. Thank you so much for supporting us in our show. Thank you, Folgers. We love you. No one loves you more than we do.
We do.
Yes, we do so much, especially in the mornings.
Mornings, all day.
Yes. So you basically now are teaching people how to go to, I guess, to separate themselves, to be able to go and experience this wonderful experience that you've had. And are they going through this whole process as well of just shedding your skin is what I call it, because you're pretty much exposing yourself out there.
Yeah.
I'd be kind of like, oh, I don't think you're ready for me. It's like, it's not for everyone.
I'm going to be there for a while. Just saying.
You've been there, what, 6 times?
No, but I mean, if I have to go through the life experience, my God.
Yeah, you didn't do that with your NDE. My goodness.
No, thank God. I probably wouldn't have made it back. I always say that. I'm one of those people. I was on a guest on a show for one of our hosts here. And the question was, what are your regrets in life? And I'm one of those people that doesn't have any. I firmly believe that every choice, every decision, every bad thing, every good thing leads you to who you are and where you are now. And I love my life just the way it happened and just the way it is. So I'm just that way. I believe that everything is an experience and a lesson, and challenges are just that. And I'm in that firm, that group of the believers of we're here to learn. But I did make a lot of mistakes. I'm not saying I didn't, but I don't regret anything because, like I said, there's a reason for everything.
And isn't that a marvelous lesson?
Yes, absolutely.
To be able to love what it is, the choices that you made, and know that choice was done so that you could grow in a certain way.
Yeah. And it didn't happen until recently. It's not like I've always been like that. It's only been in the last 10 years. It's the great losses in your life that bring you to either you drown in it or you excel with it.
Yeah.
I chose to move forward.
So what was the flip point?
Not my mom's death, and I lost a baby months later, but my brother's death was the flip point for me. My brother's death. My brother lived an incredible life of hard work, and he played. He lived a life of balance, and he changed I have 2 other brothers. My sister passed away as a baby. I never met her, but I have 2 other brothers and myself that when he passed away, it changed each one of us in such a way that we changed our lives completely to live out of respect for him. And we learned so much about him, you know, from his death. His death was sudden. He had an aortic aneurysm. He was 51 and he passed away the day before his wife's 50th birthday. That's a lot of reasons to hate God and everybody else on the planet. That's a lot of reasons to hate a lot of people. But it's okay.
You're like
but,
me.
Yeah. But it didn't happen that way. We all changed our lives. We all moved forward and took it as, let's live for him. Let's live out of respect for him.
Yep.
You know, often find myself saying, how would Mike do this? So yeah, I do. And it's been 20 years this June that he's been gone. So
Nice.
I'd have to say that was it.
I think you need to also get to the point where there's so many people here that are service to self. It's all about themselves, that you need to at some point change things where you become the servant to others. And that is a huge life changer. For those of you who haven't done it, I mean, really do it.
That's I agree with you. And that's something that the 2 of us have always done things, even as children, charity or whatever. It was you had that same lifestyle. I had the same lifestyle. My parents were Italian immigrants. We always gave to the neighborhood. We always, you know, everybody supported each other no matter what, whether it's something from the garden or checking on someone because they've lost a loved one or they were sick.
Do one good thing every day for someone else. That's all. Nice and easy.
It's
sometimes something as simple as a smile.
Easy to do. Right? How about hold the door open? Seriously. You know, especially for a young mom with a kid in a car seat, just saying.
Right.
Because that happened to me when I was younger. I was livid. I couldn't believe it. Bags and a child in a car seat, and an older man walked right by me and went through the door without anything. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Just shocked.
There you go. So.
Yes, service to others shows up very nicely in our life review. So
excellent.
Go for it.
Karmic points?
We have brownie points.
Yes,
we put hours a week in.
serve. Need every point.
But
you
not
can
if
get.
we're counting, right?
No. No. All right. So,
one of the greatest things you can do is help someone. It actually feels selfish because you feel so much more love and joy than they do.
Is it?
So back to you. Like a commentator on the midnight or 6 o'clock news.
The in the life. I'm sorry. When we enter into this space, there is this set of rules that change between, what's here in the physical and what's in the non-physical.
So there's rules there.
Yeah, there's different rules there.
Rules.
Like, in the world of unity, in the non-physical universe, there is no time, or the flip side, which is all time is now.
Right.
And it makes for a really interesting dynamic in terms of trying to tell people things. So if you've had a shared death experience or a near-death experience, some folks tell me, it's like they were in this realm for what seemed like a month, and they came back and it was just minutes.
Right. Yeah. So it moves much faster.
It was, here in the physical world, we're just at a different time rate than something else, which really is a problem if you're trying to describe something. Case in point, this is where I have some compassion for the creationists. So, we know from our 3D world that we live in right now that our Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Well, there are some folks there that say, well, it's really only 6,000 years old, and it was created in a day, and yada yada. So the mental game I'm playing with myself is, okay, so you're one of these monks, you're meditating on a mountaintop somewhere, and in one of your meditations, you are shown what the creation of the universe is like. And then on top of that, you get to see the earth created, and it's done in the world of the non-physical where there isn't any time. So you're sitting there you've come back from your meditation and you're trying to describe this to the other meditators in your group, that you saw this universe being created and you saw the earth being created, and it just happened. And so the answer seems to be yes, that the earth is 4.5 billion years old and it was created in a day.
Right.
So now we have this really hard to explain.
It's complex.
It's a juxtaposition of what do we do with linear time and what do we do with nonlinear time. And so I have a lot of compassion for people as they're trying to tell their story, and it just doesn't seem like it's making any sense because it weaves all over the place, but it's happening simultaneously. All the scenes in my life are playing at the same time. What?
Right. Yeah, like a multiverse, just
Yeah,
layers.
It's just layers and layers, and and then the another rule that I think is really quite extraordinary is intention runs everything.
I believe that.
When you're in the non-physical universe and you want to be somewhere, you just think of it and you're there. There's no like we go from here and we travel and we go to there. We do both. It's an instant movement.
Right. Wish I could do that now.
Well, actually, the punchline of this whole thing is that the non-physical universe has this set of rules,
right?
And then there's this dividing line where there's a filter, and then over here there's this other set of rules that we have in duality, but they are only laid upon the non-physical universe. The non-physical universe rules still apply here in the physical. Right. You just have to choose to abide by them. So I'm sure you've had on your show people who do remote viewing, for instance.
Sure, I've got one right there. Actually, funny you should mention it. Yeah.
Hi.
So that's one of those where, the only reason remote viewing works is because there's a realization that time and space don't exist. Some part of us is everywhere all the time.
Right.
We have to learn to focus our attention to take us to be there at that particular time.
Without numbers, without that little equation that I don't use. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, and I think that's one of the lovely things about being alive right now is that there's this awakening and people are going, well, yeah, I'm willing to give that a try. I'm willing to take this rule that I thought was a cardinal rule of the universe, that time is linear, and just go, no, it isn't. And if I want to be back at the signing of the Declaration of Independence, I can do that. It's important for me today because I spent the day at Monticello. And, We have some guests here, and so we got to see Thomas Jefferson wrote the
Yes.
Declaration of Independence,
Right.
and going, I bet that was quite the ceremony where everybody signed their name, and
Yeah.
wonder what that was like to be in that room at that day.
Well, right. Let me tell you.
She needs together.
No, I think it's great. It's just creating your own again, and I'm a strong believer in intention, mindset, everything. I believe you can make anything happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a little slower here in the physical.
It certainly is.
In the non-physical, it's instantaneous. So it's like, okay, how do we learn in the physical to do these things in a more speeded up fashion? We don't have to wait forever.
Right.
So
I wish
how do
I
we
could explain it. I don't know any difference because I've always done it. So I don't really know how to explain it.
No,
to
natural
someone.
born RV.
Yeah, I
not a lot of
don't.
people do that.
Yep.
So,
But it's been great to work missing children with this gift and to work cold cases. It's been a lot of help, and I'm grateful for that. And that's what I've used it for.
right. So I'm just watching people chime in into the chat room. Right.
Yeah. Do we have any questions from the chat room? I'm curious.
We have
there's
comments.
a lot of comments. Everybody's just sitting here very intensely listening.
Yes. Yeah.
I thought this was a good comment by Dave Petrella when you were talking about going in and looking at your life flashing ahead of you, and he compared it to a Christmas Carol.
Seeing all perspectives, like when
Yeah.
Ghost of Christmas Present, past and future.
From seeing it from above and
Above
all
when
around,
he's
and
observing the effect he had on his nephew.
Absolutely, yeah, and
Tamara's is great. Meditation brings many valuable tools, including helping with experiences that are hard to process. Sometimes we need to wait to process them.
Nobody wants to wait, Tamara.
Well,
it's so helpful.
Actually, I think he's got a real point there that sometimes it's in meditation, we're in a different space. And so we process differently.
Mm-hmm.
And, answers can come, or perspectives, new lenses can come from whoever. I mean, our guides, our higher self, whoever wants to chime in.
Mm-hmm.
And the ability to trust those, I think that
is the key.
That's a real key. Because when we're in these meditative spaces, we have these enhanced physical senses. So, our 5 physical senses, we can see in 360-degree vision. We can hear things that are far away. We have sensations that allow us to take in vibrations that we normally would, yada, yada, So we have all these enhanced senses, but there's that 6th one, which is intuition, that gestalt. All of a sudden, boom, here comes this thought ball, and everything about the answer is present. It's not delivered in a linear form. It's just, oh, that's what that means. And it's all fleshed out.
Revelation.
But yeah, it's just, but it happens so quickly that it takes a while for people to be able to trust those. Like, well, how do I know that I'm supposed to turn left at this corner?
That's the big one, is learning, is that actually your thoughts, or is that coming from somewhere else?
And is there a difference? That's always an interesting one.
Yeah, absolutely. Amelia, do you want to get this?
Yes, Dolly Saffron. Hi, Dolly. First important tool, drop all attention to physical stimulus, drop everything, empty center.
empty and center.
Sounds so much easier than it is, though. It really
for
does.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
Amen on that one.
Yeah. My mind goes like this. It's constant. Zachman. Hey, Zach. People are becoming more accepting of abilities like remote viewing. That's a great aspect of the 21st century.
It is.
Yeah.
Dolly again.
Oh, Dolly again.
And all of the other kinds of things that are happening. I am seeing a lot more people who are cross-sensating. They call it synesthesia. So where you smell colors.
Yes.
And so that will happens in remote viewing all the time. But it's just another form of information.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been programmed that we have like these 5 physical senses because that's what is, how our physical body is organized. But it doesn't have to be that way all the time.
No, you can feel and smell color. Vegas doesn't like us, but we do well in the crime area. Anyways, Tamara, I've been removed from a few tables. I have an answer to your thought or voice in your head, or is it yours? Sing happy birthday. If you still hear it, it's a message.
Yeah.
Well, over time, we begin to, in these meditative states, we begin to recognize energy signatures. And so, like for me, Nolan, there's still this contact. He and I have this lovely relationship, and we've had since the day he made his transition. And there's a certain, and so when he shows up, it's like, oh, yeah, hey, Nolan, what's going on? Mary Fran has a distinctly different one. My grandparents, everybody's got a different energy signature, and it's, and it's a whole combination of things. It's intuitive, and there's a vibration to it, and there's a color to it, and there might be a symbol associated. I had a good friend of mine who passed about 10 years ago, and she shows up, jasmine. Whenever I get this scent of jasmine, I go, hey,
yeah, that's nice.
You're here, cool. Yeah, what do you got for me?
Maybe that's just an easy way for them. They're always going to give you something that you will recognize. I think that's how they help us, maybe with that intuition to figure out, oh, like you say, Jasmine's like, oh, it's you.
Scent is a big one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Scent is a big one, especially with mediums when they're doing readings and you get grandmothers or aunts that were bakers. That is the first waft you get is what they were good at. Right. Wayne Mellows, when you mentioned that this review happens in a flash, is this also the case when you're reframing and living it over with the light being to guide you through it?
Yeah.
You get your choice. Remember I talked about you have the ability to slow down and speed up your, and that's true there too. How is it that you want to experience this? What would give you the most information? So you get to choose, and and you get to work that out with the being of light. That's what they're there for. They are loving teachers, and they are, there for our best interest.
Is that who you would consider to be a guide?
I don't consider light beings to be guides. That seems to be a separate profession, at least in my experience. I could be wrong on that, but
right. Okay.
Yeah, I think we have guides that are like assigned to us, and they.
Yeah, I have to ask because I have a guide who who's come up through just many different times people picked him up, who's never actually been human. He's never been here.
Yeah, well,
has no sense of humor or anything. It's just kind of like,
oh dear,
he should have been in the freaking building where the
go. There's a group of people there talking.
Yeah. So I
Third
had to
door
ask-
out on the left, you know.
I know. I thought that was funny, dang it. Come on. So, but yeah, so I tend to wonder if they've never been here. But then again, you come to learn that we can reside in many places. It's not always necessarily planet Earth.
Yep. Well, all right. Here's another little hint for those of you
Okay.
that are doing meditation. I have learned through hard experience, that some of these guides, they have never been human. You're right. So they don't get humor. They also don't understand negatives very well.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is, it's kind of like young children too. They don't. So it's like saying to a child, "Don't leave the door open," and what they hear is "leave the door open." That not.
Oh, they don't.
That
My
it just
husband
doesn't.
doesn't hear that part either.
It doesn't process in some people. That
Mm,
Yeah.
the
okay.
the not part doesn't process. And so in a meditative state, I have found it to be really much more effective, emphasis on much more effective, to put everything into the positive, like, please close the door.
Right.
And so what do you want to have happen? And
Right.
and so
Be specific
and
in a positive.
positive, and then of course present tense.
Right.
That always,
Glass is half
they don't,
full, not half empty.
well, they don't get time. So if you say,
Right.
it's that whole, I'd like free beer tomorrow,
Right. That they hear, you'd like a free beer. Okay. See, I can live with that. So, no. Right.
or,
Right. That's
or,
interesting.
yeah, and the English language must be a little tricky, because if you're saying things like, I want a free beer, and so what your guides give you is exactly that. They give you the wanting.
Right.
That's funny because
Right.
And so
Okay.
it's incumbent on us to say it in the positive and to say it in in present tense, like, I have a free beer, and
Right.
your job
Right.
is to fill it up.
Right. Please, may I have a free beer?
that is very
Anything.
English,
Right.
because when you speak Italian and a lot of European languages, even French, it's the reverse.
There we go. Here's
Carrie, there in that space, there's no duality, no negative comparison.
Yep, she's got it. Is that a
right.
she? I'm sorry, that went by too
Sorry, I'm gonna
fast.
put
Right.
right back right there. Yeah, right there.
Oh, yeah.
Nice work, Gary.
Yeah. Excellent. And Dolly says,
Ask for what you need.
Hmm.
I need a free beer.
Well, it's St.
Okay.
Patrick's Day. Yeah.
It is it, right? That's it. Oh, here's our third host, Zach.
Yeah, this has been a great show. Please come back, Dr. Taylor. Your knowledge keeps me intrigued. Have a good night, everybody, and have a happy St. Patty's Day.
Going back
Aaron
to
Go
the
Bra.
party.
Aaron, girl, bra.
Yeah.
There we go. So Wayne says,
Thank you for that. I'll just speed through it. Never had a loving teacher in my life. You got
right.
Michelle.
Well, that's a wonderful thing about meditation, because you soon discover that the universe is filled with loving beings who love you, and in particular, have your best interest at heart. And that's a wonderful thing.
Right.
We talk about, can I do a little quick commercial?
Of course you may.
So I teach this course where we take people to the various places that near-death experiencers go to. And what I mean by that is, so you're interested in meeting your guide, the person who might take you to the light, and you're interested in the tunnel, or you'd like to have a family reunion, or meet this being of light, or have a life review, or go to the Akashic Records. Wow, there's just all kinds of things that happen to near-death experiencers that we can access through meditation. And in particular, I happen to like to use binaural beat technology to help us enter into
Yes.
and hold
My
those
favorite.
states.
Wow.
And it's extremely effective because we've been doing it long enough now that we have a real sense of, oh, at this vibratory level
Mhm.
is a great place to go and have a life review.
Mhm.
It just seems to be really conducive to that, or
Mhm.
to meeting your guides, or whatever
Oh,
you got going on.
Right.
So if you're interested kind of in exploring the non-physical universe using the cosmology of a near-death experience, this course is built perfectly for you. But that's kind of on the physical end of it.
Mm.
There's a whole another group of people who um, are uncertain or want to get clarity around what happens when we make our transition.
Mhm.
And so over the course of a week, we probably make that trip about 25 times. So that, when it comes time for you to make your own transition or to help somebody through theirs, really helpful.
Mhm.
Um, there's exactly what's going to happen
Mhm.
because you've been there, done that. And it just takes all of the anxiety away. It takes all of the anxiousness away. And I think, what that in itself is the thing that allows us to live more fully here on earth.
I agree
That,
with
we
you.
can really be here if we're not worried about what comes
Mm.
after and
Mhm.
who's going to judge
Take
me and all
fears.
that malarkey. So this
Right.
is a real gift that we've been able to figure out how to do now. Thank you,
Ab
technology. Thank you for
Absolutely.
people who have tread this path before.
Mhm.
Um, and it's um,
I think it's
and it's just more
wonderful.
fun than a person should have. Honest to God.
binaural
Yeah.
beat is amazing.
But it's funny because I wish I had, known about you years ago. I've had people throughout, the last couple of decades come to me who were ill, cancer, things like that, and they would come to me and want me to somehow work with them to prepare them for what was coming next. I'm just like, wow, I have no recollection of my being there. I mean, I was quite young when it happened to me, but it's just somehow they want to know through mediumship, like, what do you see? People around me can only tell you what I know, but they found comfort in it. I think what you offer is a way to take away all of that anxiety, at least from that standpoint. I think a lot of people struggle with leaving behind,
Yeah, sure they do. And
right?
why wouldn't you?
Yes.
I think that's part of loving, is to say that, I will miss your physical presence.
Yes.
Doesn't mean you're not with me anymore, because like I
Right.
know Mary, Fran, and Nolan are with me,
Yes.
and I miss their physical presence.
Right.
And I am very happily married. I have
Right.
this
Yeah.
wonderful life right now,
Yes.
and
Yes.
you get it all.
You do. You get it all for sure. Here's a question for you.
Dolly asks, so are you OBE in consciousness?
Oh, that's a really interesting question.
Dolly's very interesting. So, if you me.
You got a good group here that's following you,
We do.
and you all get you all
compadres.
get an extra star for hanging in there for 20 minutes.
Woo!
And I still don't know why StreamYard and I have a problem,
I don't
but
know, but we're glad you conquered it.
um, so one of the keys that happened for me in my experience with Nolan was bilocating, that ability to have two consciousness at once.
Mhm.
And that is relatively easy to teach.
Right.
And so if we can do that, if we can be present in our physical body and someplace else at the same time, it's not more difficult than daydreaming.
Mhm.
It's that same kind of feeling. Yeah, I know I'm here, but
Mhm.
I'm someplace else at the same time. that meditative skill allows us to do all of that. So it's in the terms of, because I was trained and taught at the Monroe Institute for 35 years. So we're really good in OBE stuff.
Mhm.
So what we know about out of body experiences is that they exist on a spectrum.
Right.
It's not just one way of doing things, where you
Mhm.
totally leave your physical body. The Bob Monroe method, the classic out of body,
Mhm.
that's his experience, but there's lots of other different experiences along the way.
Mhm.
And so in order to do this work where I help people enter into the same states that you would be during a transition,
Right.
bilocation is just way easier and it's very effective. I mean,
Mhm.
and the other nice thing is, oh my God, we don't have to have physical trauma. We can do
I
this
like that, no physical
easily.
trauma.
We can do this gently. We don't
Right.
have to, have this
Right. No, it just
crash.
sounds like they go to the beat of whatever drum that you require.
Yep.
Gently ease you into it, or feel like me, full on slide, hit the dirt. Here I am. So, we'll finish up with Wayne, when you were, oh no, not this one. Where's the other one you had? It was hilarious. Here we go.
Oh, Wayne says, I've heard that idea that not doesn't exist. I don't want more taxes. They're here. I want more taxes.
Right.
Yeah, it's tax season here.
What you need, she said. No, we don't need.
Yeah.
So,
I am paying less taxes.
there we go. There we go. It's
In
what
the
we
positive and what we want.
need. That's right.
Smile when you say that. Carrie says, similar to lucid co-creative dreaming state, I think.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That lucid dreaming state,
Mhm.
it's it's on the spectrum of things that you can do.
Right.
That's a wonderful skill to learn.
Right. I
And
used to be able to lucid dream. I could fast forward my dreams. I could go back and forth. I can stop it, continue on the next night. I could do amazing things with my dreams. And then I had children and they messed up my brain. The pregnancy. And I could never lucid dream again after that. So thank you, my darlings. I
It's a
love
lot
you
of
all
fun
so much.
when you can say, hold that thought, I'll be right back.
I know. It's
Yeah.
like, what?
well,
Exactly.
actually, I had a business for 2 years. I taught people to sleep again using binaural beat technology.
Oh,
And I have to
really
tell
use
you,
this.
about 3/4 of the people who came to me
Right.
were young mothers
Oh, I
that
believe it.
that they had trained themselves to
Mm.
sleep lightly,
Yeah.
Yes.
and so they're always in the back of their mind listening for the crying baby or kid
Always.
falling out of bed or something.
Until they're like 50.
50.
Yeah.
My daughter's 25. I'm going to fight. I can hear everything. It's terrible.
That's
But
true.
And
binaural beats is euphoric when you listen to it. It really, for me, that I'm glad that you said that. For sleeping, it is so helpful.
it is so helpful because
helpful.
it reminds you what your normal sleep pattern is.
Yeah.
The other quarter people were military folks who,
Oh, wow.
had
Yeah.
trained themselves to sleep lightly in the battlefield.
Yeah, I can
They-
see that. I can see that.
And so it takes, we don't forget how to sleep correctly. We just don't do it for a while. So we train ourselves a certain way and then we just say, oh,
After
I
we
don't
teach
I don't
ourselves.
need that. Doesn't serving me anymore. I would
Right.
like to go back to a normal sleep pattern again. And there's some
Right.
wonderful
Hmm.
sleep albums that are out there that
Well,
help remind us what to do.
tell us about that, because this is the part of the show we wanted to go over, because I want to give you your time. So this is the part where you promote yourself. How can everybody find you? What do you have coming up? And anything all
And
about
yeah,
you more. Yes, do it.
so it's easy to find me.
Good.
Neardeathmeditations.com is a wonderful website that's got all my contact info. It's got my classes that are coming up. and it has, I've recorded 6 albums so people can try my meditations out at home before they come to a class. So do you like my voice, my approach, whatever? I mean, they're $20 a piece, so it's like a nothing investment.
Right.
And I don't know, can you see those? They're on the shelf behind me here.
Yes.
There they are.
All right.
Yeah, it's called the Into the Light series, and they are they're skill set based.
Okay.
So it teaches you, the albums teach you very specific techniques for, like calming your mind. You mentioned that. That's a problem. Well, we got a way to deal with that. And how do you enter into that vibratory state where you can meet your guide?
Right.
Or to exist from that heart space?
Right.
That's a big one. That black light experience, clear light, white light experiences, show everybody that.
Right.
So neardeathmeditations.com.
Okay. I put
on that
our website.
Yep. And on that website, there is my course, the NDE Intensive, Near Death Experience Intensive, where for 5.5 days, we go as a group and do these and more meditations that help you learn and explore the universe like a near-death experiencer would, or maybe you want to know more about the transition or the non-physical universe. It's all there, and it's an amazing week. There is something truly magical about a group of people all doing the same meditation at the same time, and they just feed on each other.
Right.
And to prove a point, we do these courses right now using Zoom because of COVID. And so people from all over the world can do it, and it makes no difference. If we have a person in Switzerland and one in California, they can have shared experiences.
Right.
You don't need to be in the same room or the same building.
Right.
That whole time and space thing.
Right. Does not matter.
Does not matter. We proved it to ourselves.
I like that. Yeah, the website is on the Facebook on the group page, guys. If you all go and have a look,
in
and
case
you
you
can find
missed
all
that.
of that. Yeah,
so
it's all there.
The last thing on the plug is if you go, I am now a podcaster.
Ooh,
let me tell you, there's a big learning curve.
You left that up very well, though.
It's called the Afterlife Files, where we take files of people and then we have them tell their story. But I've tried to be a little bit different, and so it's 3 components of my podcast. The first part is I set the interview up and go, we've got Sue here today, and there's 3 points she's going to make. So I want you to listen for these and the language that she uses. Then the interview happens, and afterwards, because I have both the academic and experiential background in this, I'll take a point or two and really delve into it and talk about, I don't know, maybe it's time dilation, or what's the nature of, what does it mean to be multidimensional, whatever. So we not only get the interview, but we get to dig a little more deeply into it. So at YouTube, just look up the Afterlife Files, or on any place that is, where you get your podcasts. We're on 10 different platforms, so take your pick.
We're going to put that up right
And
now.
they're pre-recorded, or do you go live as well?
Nope, they're all pre-recorded.
Awesome. So they're always archived.
Sometimes I make mistakes. Can you believe it?
I don't know. You need to go back though and change it. The rest of us have to friggin'
cut off that first 20 minutes of this one.
Yeah, exactly. That's okay. We gave him like a 20-minute bonus round. There we go. So thank you so much for hanging in there with StreamYard. Thank you for sharing your story with us. And It was just really heartfelt. It really was. I'm just like, I don't usually, tear up at all. Like I'm pretty resilient and try to be that,
Yeah.
hardcore, just don't let it phase you while you're doing a show. But no, that was really heartfelt. And the experience was phenomenal. I have never heard this. I've been doing this sort of thing for like about close to 20 years. And I have to say, this is the first time I have ever, learned about shared near-death experience, let alone being able to have other people do it. It's just an unheard of thing.
It's a cool thing.
It is a cool thing, and it's just like a wow factor for me. So, but thank you, and I'd like to do this again sometime. If you'd be interested in coming back on.
I would love to come back. You guys are a hoot. So
hey, we try. Yeah, we try.
After you made us cry so bad.
Yeah, that's a good thing too. That hardly ever happens.
That was it. It just that connection with you, and I know our entire audience felt it, and we truly appreciate you for doing that.
Yes, thank you.
Well, I have looked forward to being on this show. So thank you for making my time here both enjoyable and enlightening.
Thank you very much. It was our pleasure to have you on. And I will send you an email after the show, and I will let you know how many were listening. What's going to be. So thank you. And I will be in touch.
Thank you. See everybody. Thanks for hanging in there with us.
Have fun with your guests. Enjoy.
Thank you. I will.
All right. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Wow, that was awesome. Oh my gosh. So we have more than come to the end of the episode. We hope you guys like the extra little bit. See, it was a hard go, but wow, we gave you your bonus. No way we couldn't let him finish. It was just phenomenal. So big thank you to Dr. Scott Taylor for just an incredible emotional segment. And wow, we definitely want to bring him back on. Also, big thank you to Folgers Coffee just for being you and being a part of the Outer Realm. Big thank you to Justin Snicker, intro and outro. Remember, guys, head on over to the YouTube channels, subscribe. If you're looking to speak with us, only way you're going to get us is the Outer Realm Contact at gmail.com. The Outer Realm Contact at gmail.com. Next week promises more fantastic guests who have never been on the Outer Realm. Wednesday brings, and I'm really hoping I'm going to say this properly, Dr. Turge Simonson. And the topics of discussion will be parapsychology, the occult, and ancient aliens. Thursday evening, we welcome for the very first time Meredith Herrenbreck. She's going to be discussing family soul constellations, which, again, something new for me, and paranormal attachments, things of that nature. So that's something that you do hear a little bit more with us. So until then, we thank you, and we will see you guys next week. Till then, have a great week and behave yourselves. A little bit. Night.